Hey guys! So I decided to go ahead and just get started on a video because it's kind of late in the day. Well, not even morning anymore. Yeah, I've just been kind of trying to get a few things done and in the process of making some potato salad. Takes a minute because of the potatoes and eggs and all that stuff, but yeah, I had a little bit of breakfast. Didn't get up real early, but eh. I have today off, and then I have to work for the next 6 days, so that's gonna be fun. Anyway. But then next week I have Thursday, Friday, Saturday off, so hopefully I can get quite a bit done. Anyway, so hope everyone had a good night, and I replanted my basil, my 2 basil plants. I haven't gotten my tomato plant replanted yet. There's that one. And this one's a little bit taller. There's that one. And I watered them with some rainwater that I had in some jugs. And then this is the tiniest lemon tree. And I actually planted that. Hopefully it'll take. So I just wanted to get it out of those plastic. Well, they needed to be in something bigger. I've got to get my tomato plant into something. It's not sure what to put it in because it's so tall. But I don't have a real big pot. Anyway, so decided the one that I'm going to do today is I decided on 28 beekeeping mistakes to never make. So let's just get right into it. Okay. This is from the Homesteading Hippie. And here we go. Just because you are a beginner, it does not mean you need to be making beginner's mistakes. I live by the mantra, a fool learns from his own mistakes, a wise man learns from the mistakes of others. The queen bee is noticeable in the hive. She is happy and healthy, going about her royal duties. I don't know if you can see it or not. That's actually not too bad. The queen is the one with the green on her. Okay. Keeping a couple of hives has incredible benefits for your health as well as for the environment. Honey has such great benefits. It promotes burn and wound healing, contains antioxidants, lowers blood pressure, contains nutrients, lowers cholesterol, lowers triglycerides, helps for dry, scratchy throats and itchy coughs. Beekeepers make so many mistakes that could cost them time, money, and production. But the more beekeepers you talk to, the more you will hear issues that come up over and over again. If you are a new beekeeper or you are wanting to get going, take the plunge. Do it. But let's learn from others' mistakes and get it done right from the start. I'm going to cover some mistakes many beginners make when they get started and how to overcome these issues. Stupid head. It won't go away. Not educating themselves before starting out. Again, that's why we're taking the year. Everybody learns differently. For some, it is easier to study by reading. Sorry, I'm trying to get rid of it. Stupid ad. For others, visual learning is better. Many learn best through on-the-job, hands-on practice. But when it comes to beekeeping, educating yourself is of utmost importance. Sorry. It's still kind of humid down here, so we got a bunch of rain going on outside right now, though. Before you start out, do not rush out and buy anything before doing some research. Hopefully, this article will provide a lot of valuable insight and help you to avoid painful, in more ways than one, mistakes. You have to thoroughly research the general topic of beekeeping. But attending a class in your area is a must. You can ask any beekeeper and you will get the same response. Take a class. Not sure I'm going to be able to do that, but I might be able to get into a free online one or something. You will be able to find classes through your local beekeeping clubs or local beekeepers. If you neglect to do this, you will find yourself out of pocket with inferior equipment, a hive that does not perform, and probably a colony of dead bees. A good beekeeping course will help you. Number one, recognize the difference between... Stupid. Why is it they always wait until I'm trying to do a video before popping up? It's gonna be stupid. Sorry. Anyway, sorry. Number one, recognize the difference between eggs and larvae in a cell. Number two, learn about breeding a queen. Number three, learn about environmental factors that could affect your colony. Number four, learn about equipment. Number five, help you to set up a new colony. Number six, learn the pros and cons of different techniques for beekeeping. Number seven, prepare a nucleus hive for queen cells. Number seven, learn about hive health. Number eight, learn how to safely handle your colony as well as your queen. Number nine, learn how to locate the queen bee in a colony. Number 10, learn about hive kits and non-grafting kits. Number 11, learn about splitting colonies and adding frames. One would think that finding a good mentor in any profession is just common sense. Carpenters, doctors, plumbers, lawyers, and teachers all go through in-service training for years to ensure they can complete their duties. However, so many people neglect to find a suitable mentor when starting out in beekeeping. Again, that's why we're waiting a year. Before you even buy equipment or bees, find a local and spend a few weeks working with and learning the ropes from him or her. Beekeepers are probably the most open people on earth when it comes to sharing information. They are not territorial at all because they all know the world's bee populations are in extreme crisis. They will gladly take you under their wing and guide you to having your own successful hive or hives. There are plenty of online training courses available as well, but be sure to work through a reputable company, getting plenty of references and checking up on the comments of people who have completed the course. Beekeeping books are also a very handy solution to finding problems when you're working in the field. You can find solutions to health problems, constructing hives, queen health, splitting your hives, and many other topics. One of my favorite books is called Beekeeping, an Ultimate Guide to Beekeeping by Jim Geers. He covers beekeeping from a homesteader's perspective for beginners. I love the attention to detail and his reasoning behind his way of doing things. A healthy colony, busy working as calmly as bees can be calm. I'm hot, sorry. I am going to screenshot that because I want to look that book up. Okay. Being afraid to start. Oh, God. Once you've done some research and you have taken a training course, the next step is going to be starting. Starting any new endeavor can be very daunting for many people. It involves taking the plunge into the unknown. Keeping a hive does not have to be a very expensive project. You can build your own hives and trap swarms to keep your costs down. With the right knowledge and the guidance of a good mentor, you really do not have to worry too much about whether you are doing things correctly or incorrectly. One of the best things about beekeeping is that it is easy to correct mistakes if you are paying attention. So do not be afraid to jump right in. You will very quickly begin to reap the tasty harvest of your efforts, bringing good, healthy honey to your table and ensuring a good harvest in your fruit and vegetable crops and flowers as the bees work their magic to bring balance and health back to your homestead. I'm so hot right now. Starting with only one hive. Everyone I have talked to when asked said the biggest mistake they made when starting out was that they started with just one hive. For homesteaders, most got bees for two reasons. Number one, honey. Number two, crop pollination. There is nothing wrong with having just one hive, but you will want to ensure you are not taking too much honey from the bees by straining one colony in production. If you want to sell honey, you will need multiple hives, ready to be on the way to market. Not doing sufficient setup planning. Plan where your hives are going to be before you introduce bees. You need to ensure, number one, hives are spread at least 2 feet apart to avoid fighting. Further, if you are adding a new hive. Number two, hives are not anywhere near buildings. Bees can make themselves very comfortable indoors and will not want to move back out where the air is colder. The hives need to be far enough that they can easily gain the altitude needed to fly in any direction. If you have hives, you will have the occasional rogue scout popping in for some sugar. Don't encourage him, just send him on his way. There is no exact distance away from buildings, but the further away the hives are, the less chance you will come home to a house full of bees. Number 3, do not have hives shipped. The bees do not get sufficient airflow and they overheat, and you will open a box that contains only dead bees, and that's what I've kind of been afraid of. Rather, drive out to a supplier, local if possible, and collect your bees yourself, which I'll get with somebody down here around the area. Number 6. Sorry, I can't count. Number 4. Do not paint hives and immediately move in a colony. Just as you would do before moving straight back into your bedroom after painting, you need to let the paint dry properly and you need to let the fumes disperse. And only ever paint the outside of the hives. Bees recognize colors and symbols, even numbers, so painting the hive can be helpful to your bees. Number 5. Make sure you have enough space in the hive when you set up. Start with 3 frames in the furthest part of the hive, away from the entrance. As you add frames, move the existing frames forward just enough to add the extra frame. A clear sign that the hive is overcrowded is that the cells are all completely full of honey, the bees are all hanging out at or outside the hive and acting agitated. Set up a new hive and split the hive when this occurs. Do not laugh at this one. I live in South Africa, so I did laugh when my one American friend told me this. Is the site where you are putting the hive bear-proofed? If you live in an area where bears are a problem, you will need to enclose the hives with electric fencing. Again, they're going to be on the inside of the privacy fence. And the privacy fence is going to be a completely enclosed wooden fence around the entire area. So I think we should be good. Feeding mistakes. There's so much misinformation on the internet regarding feeding bees. Feeding bees during the cold months when there is not enough nectar is necessary. During summer, the only reason to feed a bee sugar water is when you see it is struggling for life in the sun on a sidewalk. Sugar water has no nutritional benefit for bees. It is a quick pick-me-up to give them energy. Bees should only be fed for one of these 3 reasons. Number 1, they are new bees that still need to make honey for themselves to eat. Number 2, there is a shortage of pollen. Number 3, it is too cold for the bees to go find their own food. Bees can survive on what they find at 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Below that, they will probably need some help. You can find your bees inside the hive or close to the hive using an entrance feeder, a top feeder, a bucket feeder. You can feed your bees inside the hive or close to the hive using an entrance feeder, a top feeder, a bucket feeder, a baggy feeder, a frame feeder, an open feeder, or a candy board. Be careful of community feeding called robbing when feeding close to the hive. Bees are very territorial and will fight over food. So what should you feed your bees? Number 1, the best thing you can feed bees is some of their own honey. Throughout the year when you harvest, always set aside a little that is clearly marked as having come from that exact hive to feed back to them in the cold months. It is essential that you do not feed them store-bought honey or honey from another hive, as this may contain diseases that are easily spread. 2. Overripe fruit that has been halved, exposing the juicy contents is the next best thing because it is what they would normally go to in good weather. Number 3, fresh flowers, cut from your yard, your greenhouse, or store-bought. That was number 3. Again, I can't count today. Number 4, pollen patties in moderation. Number 5, fondant. Number 6, in case of an absolute emergency, the only short-term sugar water syrup made with sugar and water or granulated white sugar. Not monitoring the hive's health. Monitoring the health of your colony is essential. You should be checking the hives regularly and documenting all your findings each time you inspect. You should not inspect the hives too often, as this disturbs the bees, but you should also not inspect the hives too infrequently, as you may miss something that could result in the death of the hive. When you get a new hive, you should inspect it once a week until it is full of frames. After that, inspecting the colony once a month should be fine. Avoid inspecting when the weather is too cold or when it is raining or snowing. Bees are very sensitive to cold. There are specific things you should be looking for in your hives. Number 1, is the hive overcrowded? If it is, you may need to split the hive. Number 2, is the queen bee alive and healthy? Number 3, checking or treating for mites, ants, and other crawling insects. Number 4, is the entrance of the hive protected from wind, rain, and snow? Is the hive positioned right, level, so that the frames are well balanced? Number 6, is it wet inside the hive? Number 7, is there anything happening near the hive that is upsetting the colony? Construction, vibration, noise? Number 8, in winter you may want to combine 2 hives to help the bees keep warm. Number 9, should you cut or separate queen cells? Number 9, is the queen laying eggs? Number 10, do the bees look healthy? Number 11, check for dead bees. This could indicate disease. Spending too much money. Beekeepers tend to see either money or honey when they set out to get their first colony. Well, if you want money or honey, or you want honey without spending too much money, your first priority should always be the bees. You will want strong, healthy bees that will do well in your area. You can easily build your own hives, and you really do not need to buy bees unless you are in a house in a town. You can easily build your own trapping hives and trap local swarms. Aside from the financial benefit, trapping a local swarm also means you will have bees that are used to the climate and environment that you are in. All bees want is a roof over their heads and access to pollen or nectar. A wild colony ready for trapping. See it a little bit. There you go. Not dressing appropriately. Oh gosh, use protective gear, always. I had a friend several years ago who was not allergic to bees. She was outside tending her yard one day when a swarm attacked her. She passed away within hours. Swarms happen and they are dangerous. If you work with bees, wear beekeeping protective gear. There are other factors regarding how you present yourself to your bees. Bees are known to not like certain colors. If you are going near your hives, do not wear colors that are dark. Black, brown, hunter green, navy blue, etc. And do not wear red. If you want to know why, go ask a bee. I am not knowledgeable on bees' taste in clothing. I only know that these colors get them worked up. Do not wear perfume, cologne, or strong deodorant around the bees. Bees are hunter-gatherers. They may be drawn to the smell, or they may despise it and attack. Neither of which is a desirable option when you are trying to walk from your hive to your home. A healthy bee frame full of eggs and larvae. Okay. Not thinking things through. Comedian Bill Engvall does a joke that he carries through most of his acts called "Here's Your Sign." Basically, it is reserved for really dumb things people say or do that just leave you shaking your head. For example, while taking your dog for a walk and someone stops you to pet it asking, "Is that a dog?" Well, here's your sign. Beekeepers and beekeepers and loony visitors can do some really silly things. Here's some of the things that people do that are worthy of a sign or two. Number 1, not using a smoker. The usefulness of a smoker cannot be understated. Using a smoker confuses the bees into thinking there's a fire nearby. The bees quickly eat as much honey as possible just in case they have to evacuate in a hurry. It also blocks the communication signals they use to tell each other that they are under attack and need to swarm and attack the villain. Remember that once a bee stings, it dies, so even if you are wearing your protective suit, you need to smoke the bees to protect against loss of lives. Number 2, working in the dark. Moving hives in the dark is never a good idea. You could trip and drop the box, and the only thing on the minds of all the bees is going to be, "We are under attack." Number 3, moving hives at the wrong time. Do not move hives in the winter. Plan ahead and move them while the weather is still fair. Number 4, starting with fresh ideas rather than tried and tested methodologies. As a newcomer, you do not know more about beekeeping than all the experts out there. Set up your hive or hives, and when they are up and running and well established, then you can try new ideas. Number 5, cell phones are a bad idea around a hive. Bees communicate through vibration. If you really want to see chaos come under attack and have the survivors move out in a hurry, set up your vibrating cell phone anywhere near the hive. Cell phones and the next item on the list are unfortunately often linked. Number 6, working with bees while under the influence. Prescribed or otherwise. Drunk people and bees do not go well together. The number of times I have heard about people getting drunk and challenging each other to pull down their pants and sit on the hive is bizarre. Worse still, there are people under the influence who decide to put the cell phone inside the hive, then have some bare-bottom knuckleheads sit on the hive, and then dial the cell number so the phone rings and vibrates inside the hive. This is a quick way to the ER or even the morgue. It should never be done. Number 6. Or was that number 6? I was number 6. Sorry, number 7. I can't count. I said that. Harvesting honey too early or taking too much. Your bees need time to establish their home, and they also need to eat. Do not be in a rush to start taking honey from the hive within the first year, and always leave them enough to eat, especially in the winter. Gorging on honey. Number 8. Working with a hive alone. Beekeeping is not a one-man job. For one thing, hives are heavy. If you do not have someone to help open a hive up, you could drop the hive or even just bump it hard enough to cause a swarm. If you are alone when bees swarm, you may not get the help you need in time to save your life. Number 8. Not understanding colony communication. If you go check on your hive and they are acting aggressively, walk away and come back when they are calmer. When you do check them, make sure you can see the queen and that she is healthy and she is laying eggs. And make sure there are no mites, ants, or other bugs in the hive. Not getting community buy-in. It is so important to communicate with all your neighbors if you are planning on getting a hive. Most will love the idea because their flowers will be pollinated, they will get better crops, and maybe they can squeeze a little extra honey out of you now and then. But there will be issues that are better addressed sooner than later. Local homesteaders do not use pesticides often, but farmers do, and pesticides kill bees. Discussing when farmers are spraying pesticides can help you plan that so you can provide food closer to home so the bees do not head for the crops. You may also find out that your neighbor's child is allergic to bees. This is something that would make me stop dead in my tracks and rethink my plan. You could avoid catastrophic loss of life by relocating your hives in a far corner well away from the allergic neighbor. Or you may even place it on a different property. In Australia, many organic farmers welcome hives, not even charging rent because bees mean pollination. It is better to work things out well in advance. Not being prepared for equipment malfunctions. Hives take a lot of strain. Honey is heavy and can cause a hive to collapse. You can prepare for simple issues like a wet hive or a hive collapsing by simply having a new hive close by. Your bees will look for the closest place they can settle down on their old stomping ground. If you see the hive is about to collapse, move the new hive right next door to the old one and transfer the frames of honey. The bees will follow their food. You will also need that spare hive for splitting colonies. I like to transfer a queen cell when I split a hive for the sake of continuity. Space your hives well and mark them with clear signs like X or O in different colors. Bees can identify their own hives by markings. You do not want them going home to the wrong home. Consider your own physical strength before buying or making your own hives. Many people automatically buy or make vertical hives which are heavy and hard to handle if you are a lightweight or if you are disabled. If you are disabled, try using a horizontal hive. They are easy to handle even if you are in a wheelchair. Have empty frames or supers available for adding to or replacing in hives as needed. Always ensure that the bees can get in and out of the hives safe from the weather and from predators. Winter mistakes. There are a few basic mistakes new beekeepers make during the winter. The worker bees are preparing the hive's winter supplies. First, they feed incorrectly. Do not overfeed your bees pollen, as it is high in protein to baby bees. In winter, you do not want your bees using all their energy trying to produce enough honey for their own survival and raising babies. Do not feed sugar water or sugar syrup. It has no nutritional value, and once the temperature hits 50 degrees Fahrenheit, honeybees will not eat it. Secondly, beginners are a little too quick to open the hive for inspections in the cold. Every time you open the hive, all the heat escapes and the bees die from the cold. If it is below 50 degrees Fahrenheit, do not open your beehive. Thirdly, new beekeepers try to bundle up the wrapping by wrapping the hive too tightly. In sub-zero temperatures, wrapping is definitely needed, but always leave a gap between the wrapping and the hive to allow air to flow freely. You do not want to trap moisture in, as this will grow mold. Fourth and finally, do not cover the entrance to the hive. This is a rookie mistake made by many. If you block the hive, the bees can't get out. Even in winter, the bees will occasionally venture out on a warmer day. They should have access to get in and out. So many mistakes. We all need advice, but you wouldn't ask a plumber why you can't pee. Make sure the people you are turning to for guidance know what they are talking about. If you are given advice that sounds off, ask someone else, or if all else fails, ask the internet. There is a difference between someone who has loads of bees on their farm and a beekeeper. Make sure your advice comes from a serious beekeeper. Time to enjoy some tea and toast. I hope this article will be helpful in setting you up to be a beekeeper. Let us know about some of the funniest bee stories you have heard or been part of in the comments. And be good. Okay, that was kind of a little bit longer one. And it was full of some really good information, which all of it, I'm going to be writing it all down, of course. I'm actually going to look that book up as well, because I want to make sure that I have access to all the information that I need. And again, we're going to be taking a year or two before we decide to do this, so. It's one of those kind of chilly days, but I feel like it's kind of. Got a tank top on. I had a t-shirt on. I was too warm, so I put a tank top on. I don't know. It's one of those weird days. I might put my sweatshirt jacket back on. I will probably do a few more videos today. Just kind of debating on which ones. My one day off, it just goes so quickly, and I'm trying to make sure and get something out of my day. I don't really want to delve into much of anything. I still have my pumpkin to do. I didn't do that on my 3 days off. These next 3 days, I'm hoping that it'll still stay good. I'm just gonna wait until next week and then make sure that on one of those days off, I get that pumpkin done. But I'm gonna have to make sure that I get up early enough to do it. It's because it's gonna take a while because that's huge, and I'm kind of trying to make sure I have room in my freezer. Anyway, so, and other things that are going on, I'm working on talking to The guy in charge, or the guy that owns a little trailer park in town, to see if he can get us into one of those trailers in the beginning in December. Because if he can, then the $500, instead of going for rent here, will go to him. So, and I'll just talk to some people in the church and other people that I know that have trucks and stuff so we can get moved out. But the day that we move, we're going to have to, I don't know, it's going to be kind of a mess, but when isn't it? Anyway, I'll keep you guys informed on everything going on, and sorry, I'm tired. And I'm in the process of making some potato salad, which, yeah, I already said that in the beginning of the video. Just trying to get the potatoes done. But I'm gonna get off from here and get this video uploaded, and I will see you guys on the next video. Bye, guys.